I will call this meeting to order and will declare that we have a quorum present. We have all five of the elected officials here. We have a 89-page packet to get through tonight. I got a couple of items under new business for ordinances and a resolution that was deferred once. And then we have, looks like two more ordinances under old business, two more ordinances, new business, and six resolutions tonight. If you want to follow along online, you can find the packet and agenda there online. Or if you're here meeting with us, we also have agendas in the boxes down there beside the doors on the way in. You can grab one in the mesh basket if you want to follow along. With that, I'll set the agenda as published if there's no objections. Hearing no objection, I'll ask our City Fire Chief, Chief Jamie Luffman, if you would, sir, please lead us in the pledge, the invocation and pledge.
Thank you, sir. If you would pray with me, please. Gracious God, tonight we invite you into this meeting with the sole purpose of glorifying you, your Son, and your Spirit. Thank you for your amazing power and work in our lives. Thank you for the goodness and your blessings over all of us. Thank you that you are able to bring hope through even the toughest times, strengthening us for your purpose. Thank you for your great love and care. Thank you for your mercy and grace. Thank you that you are always with us and will never leave us. Thank you for your incredible sacrifice so that we might have freedom, life, and life everlasting. Forgive us when we don't thank you enough for who you are, for all that you do, and for all that you have given. Help us to set our eyes and our hearts on you afresh. Renew our spirits. Fill us with your peace and joy. We love you and we need you this day and every day. We give you praise and thanks, for you alone are worthy. In Christ's name, amen. If you would stand, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Chief, thank you. Next item on the agenda is approval of minutes. We have two sets of minutes. The first one is from the regular meeting of October 25th, 2021. Is there a motion?
Second.
Motion and a second. The item is on the table. Commissioner Mullally.
I motion to adopt the revised set that Sheila put on our table. And this is for, are we doing both minutes or just October 25th?
Just the 25th.
Okay. I shortened my minutes. These were deferred from last time. So I shortened it a lot.
Are you referring to the email?
Yes, the copy that she put. I also sent yeah, that you put the copy here. Yeah. Ooh, that looks like the long one.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to say this motion is out of order because it is dictation. If you want to change like an up or down or something was listed in error on the minutes, we can entertain that.
Can we consider number 2? That was to be replaced. The work session was to be replaced with town hall because I had a town hall, not a work session.
That's correct.
Number 3, all the original minutes said that discussion was held, and I stated this for the record, that discussion was held and financial cost was noted. Meetings would only cost $75 per meeting to video and post to the website without live broadcast. So that's not really dictation. That's I stated that for the record.
That's fine.
All right, 4, is my mic still on?
Yes.
4, under sponsors, I was correcting what was in the minutes because portions of it was left out, so I revised that as a clarification. The comments were already there. So what I'm doing here is for clarification.
Okay, so that's your motion to consider items 2, 3, and 4?
Yes, but also on one, when I had stated last time that there's certain things that I state for the record to go on the record, to be because I want them recorded in the minutes. And I realize, because I read Robert's rules and I know the format of doing the meetings, I understand it's actions, not words. But I would like to argue the point of getting those in there, because in Robert's rules, section 48.3, where it states to modify the rules governing what is regularly to be
Commissioner?
included in the meetings, which is not a restriction, but an assurance that
Commissioner, you
there
don't
is
have
no restriction.
You don't have a second on this right at the moment.
Oh,
Is there a second on adding items 2, 3, and 4?
Second.
Have a second. Okay. All right, all in favor of items 2, 3, and 4 to the October 25th agenda, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
No.
All right, got one. Passes with 4 to 1. Sorry, excuse me, 3 to 1, 3 to 2. Motion carries. All right, we're back on the minutes as amended.
okay. On point one, I wanted to argue that in Robert's rules
Commissioner,
section,
I've
oh.
already called that out of order.
you did,
Yes, ma'am.
but what's the one where I call your order out of order?
Call my bluff.
Yeah,
You would make a motion to override the chair.
motion to override the chair.
Is there a second to override the chair's opinion? There's no second on that. All right.
Okay.
So we will move on to the next item, which is the regular minutes from November 11th, 2021. Is there a motion?
Motion.
And have a second. The item is on the table. All in favor?
Wait a minute.
Did y'all vote on the total minutes for 1025?
Just.
Just- You voted on the amendment. but
We
you
did
haven't-
not. Well, we will correct that. For clarity, let's just stick with November 8th, and I'll fix the 25th afterwards, if there's no objections.
All right, so we're on 4.2.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and we got a motion and a second.
Then we do have a motion and a second on 4.2.
Okay.
11.
I would like to motion to have my corrections in the sheet. Y'all got copy for the 11/8 minutes. Number 1, please add the following on packet page 18 under discussion prior to Chief Bluffman, because there was another work session on the 10/25. It was stated in here, and it's not stated in this one. So I wanted to add that, which is Commissioner Jennifer Mullally requested this work session be recorded. No objections voiced. All right. Second one, packet page 23, top of the page, Mullally needs to be moved to A's. Hefner needs to be moved to recused, and no one was absent.
On that one, I'm going to ask our city recorder, is that a limitation of our recording software?
Well, I reread the minutes that was taken, and it did say that Hefner left the table. I would have to add a vote of recuse. Previously, we've always used absent when the commissioner has left the table, or abstain.
Yeah, I agree that he recused himself, but I think it's just a recording limitation, and it's noted in there.
Well, that's fine, but
Okay.
my name is listed under abstained, and I did not abstain. packet page 26, top of the page for the seconder. This was after the vice mayor had motioned to defer indefinitely, and I gave it a second, so to replace Bill Trevette's name with Jennifer Mullally.
Okay. All right, we have those three items. Did we get that was your motion?
Well, also,
Okay.
well, unless you want to vote on that one first, and this has to do with the other email
Yeah, I'll let you,
together.
however you wish to do it,
Well,
Commissioner.
let's vote on that first.
Okay, so that's your motion. So we're looking for a second on this motion.
I'll second.
Got a second on it? All right, all in favor of the three corrections, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously.
All
Commissioner,
right,
you have the floor.
and the other one is an email submitted from Bobby Franklin on his, that had to do with his citizen comments. He's correcting those, and I went back and listened to the video, and these are more accurate. So it's a revision of what was already in the minutes.
Commissioner, I'm gonna call this one out of order as well.
All right, I motion to override.
All right, do we have a second on overriding the chair? Okay, that fails for lack of second. All right, so we're back to 4-2 as amended. All in favor of 4-2, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That passes. Then my correction on 4-1, which is just to capture the final vote on that. I skipped ahead too soon, so we have it 4-1 left hanging with one amendment on it. So all in favor of 4-1, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? I'm sorry, what was your vote, Commissioner?
So the motion was to adopt, but, and we already amended 2, 3, and 4, so that's approved.
Yes,
So,
ma'am.
so this one is to adopt the minutes as is,
So adopt the minutes as amended.
as amended.
Correct.
Okay, yeah, A.
All right. Passes unanimously then. Unless I missed your vote or someone's vote. Correct me now.
Yeah,
All right.
both sets passed unanimous.
All right, we have it recorded as unanimous on both sets. Next item on the agenda is citizen comments. If you would like to address the Board of Commissioners, this is your opportunity to address us. We allow 3 minutes. We ask for your name and address. This may be the only chance to address the commission tonight unless called upon. We can't answer questions from the floor, but we are here for comments. You're welcome to speak on any topic. Just ask that you keep it on issues and not people. And yes, sir, your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Charles Gary Mallory. I live at 139 Santa Fe Trail, Mount Juliet 37122. What I'm here about is we were told way back about February, March, that we were going to get a traffic light at Santa Fe Trail on one side and South Green Hill on the other. It's a very, very dangerous intersection. I have a picture here that I'd like to pass around that I took myself of an accident that occurred there last year, and there's been many, many more since then at that intersection. People drop off the hill from where the Green Hill Church is right there, flying. The others drop off the hill coming from where the new dollar store is up on Lebanon Road, flying. And it's very, very dangerous to try to get in and out of there. I spoke with your gentleman a little bit earlier, and he told me that some promising things had come around about they found some posts that I think they took off the interstate or down there around the interstate that will work in our section there. And that's probably going to help speed us up a little bit now. But I just want everybody to know how dangerous that is in case I get killed there or somebody in my family or anybody else. It's very dangerous. Would you like to tell them what you told me just a minute ago? And then I got one more thing after he finishes, please, okay?
Yes, sir. So quick
Thank
update to the commission and everyone on that intersection. When we first embarked on this project, we were planning on reutilizing the poles that were taken down at North Green Hill Road and Lebanon Road and using that exact same configuration. Thus, basically, very simple reuse of the poles. Obviously, there's a lot of underground work that has to take place because you don't have the wires overhead, you have them all underground. So we knew that process would take a little time. As it turned out, the configuration was going to have to be different. We tried to reutilize the poles in the different configuration and came up with a design we felt like could work. Unfortunately, the poles are not interchangeable with the arms. And so from a structural analysis, we went through that and we found that that wasn't going to be the case. Fortunately, we've had some other poles and arms just recently replaced down at the interstate with that project that's going on. So we are going to reconfigure the intersection again with those poles and arms and then get that in there. So our structural analysis is done. We're going to reuse those. And once we get our final design configuration, that's when we will start digging. So we hope to have that final design here. I don't know, this week being a shortened week, probably not, but hopefully next week. And then we'll be a matter of scheduling with the contractor after that. So it's been a process on this one. Thank you.
It's our Public Works Director, Mr. Andy Barlow, for the record.
Yes. Next thing I want to mention is me and my neighbors, we live outside of the city limits of Mount Juliet. We want to be part of you. We want to be part of the city limits of Mount Juliet. Right now, if we have a call that we need policing for, you've got Mount Juliet police cars riding right down Lebanon Road, and I'm liable to have to wait for a sheriff's department car to come from Watertown. You know, aside from you got the great fire department right here, and we want to join y'all. Let's give y'all more property tax to work with and everything else. I'm just telling you, I've already went and pulled everybody that's in Rancho Acres subdivision. I got every name of everybody. And what some of the problem is, I talked to Mr. Marchetti about it a minute ago, and he's going to help me with it. Some of the houses over in our subdivision are rentals. Some of them are vacant because the old folks might be in a old folks home or deceased or whatever. So there's some of the folks that I can't get in touch with, but I want to get a petition started if that's what we need to do. And I'm going to jump on that with both feet because I want to be in the city limits of Mount Juliet. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. And I'll say, Mr. Pacetti, I don't know where the urban growth boundary sets at on that section of the city exactly. It's in the urban growth? Okay. Well, that's one legal threshold we can get through.
Thank you.
Anyone else to address the Board of Commissioners tonight? All right, seeing none, we will close citizen comments. We will move to commissioner comments. I'll recognize District 3 Commissioner Scott Hefner. You are recognized, sir, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mayor. I got a couple public safety announcements. Happy Thanksgiving, by the way. Hope you have a safe one, an enjoyable one. Be careful when you're deep frying your turkey. I know these fine gentlemen certainly don't want to show up to your house on Thanksgiving putting out a porch fire. So do please be careful if you're deep frying turkeys Thanksgiving Day. Also, deer season's in full swing. The rut's started. Be careful driving around the roads. You're going to start seeing deer running around, acting crazy, especially at night. So one last thing. If you have a gas RV, Class A or C Class, it's got a Ford motor engine in it. Right now is the time everybody's starting to winterize their RVs. There's a new thing, I guess. Maybe it's not a new thing, but my catalytic converter got sawed off the exhaust pipe last weekend. It's not a cheap replacement. It's almost $3,000 to get it replaced. So apparently there's some precious metals in these catalytic converters. So if you got an RV, gas-powered RV, occasionally look underneath and see if your catalytic converter is still there. these are times when people are starting to winterize, so they won't normally realize it until the spring when they fire it up. So it's unfortunate. I hope our fine Mount Juliet Police Department ends up catching the thief or thieves that took mine and one other that was in a locked storage facility here in Mount Juliet. So anyways, once again, happy Thanksgiving. Have a safe and a happy one. So that's it.
Well, sorry to hear about the catalytic converter. I bet it had a different tone to it when you started it.
It did. Straight
Next up is District 4 Commissioner, Commissioner Mullally.
Okay, at the last meeting, I mentioned about my town hall meeting that I had on the 4th. I did not thank the engineer and the developer for coming and sharing their project. So I just want to thank Joe Haddix and Andrew Mazie for coming out. November newsletter, I hope to send out on the 1st. So we'll be wrapping that up. The Teacher of the Year from Rutland Elementary is Cindy Osborne. So congratulations to her. We had the ribbon cutting for the Belinda Parkway sidewalks. And for the BPAC, of course, this is BPAC. So I just want to thank everyone for coming out there. And thank you, Justin, for taking the pictures. We also had the story walk that day. And that was my first story walk. That was interesting. It was also the kickoff of the Story Walk Week. And that was all I had other than happy Thanksgiving to everyone and be safe.
Thank you, Commissioner. Next to recognize our Vice Mayor and District 1 Commissioner, Commissioner Justice.
Thank you, sir. First of all, I would like to acknowledge that only in Tennessee would we have a commission meeting and discuss the rut being in full swing. I just love that. It tickles me to death. And I see we have a contingent of firefighters here. Being a retired police officer, I have to throw out the traditional as well. Chief Luffman has heard me say this before, but there is a reason that God made police officers. It's so that firefighters would have heroes also. So, yeah. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for your service, and we love you. Number 3, I did want to say our minutes are summaries. I think we had this discussion, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Marchetti, at the last meeting. They are not verbatim. And if something is left off of those minutes, then that is not a correction to have them added. The corrections are when there is information that is put on there that is not accurate, and that's when we do that. I think probably what we should look at in the future is that if there is something that you want that is going to be put in the minutes as anything other than that summary, it would be a reference to see the video, excuse me, and see the minutes and seconds of that video so that we're not constantly correcting minutes. We had a request from a citizen who wanted something added to the minutes because he didn't think it correctly represented what he said. And if we had 30 people in here with that, then we would be updating minutes for hours and hours and hours. So I think probably the best way to handle that is to reference the video so that people can go back and actually look at that video and then hear exactly what was said. That would make it so much easier. So, and the 4th thing is, I'm sorry, I missed out on one, Green Hill High School Hawks. On several occasions, myself, Commissioner Hefner, I'm sorry, Commissioner Hefner wasn't there, Commissioner Chabot and Mayor Manis were at the Green Hill football games. We had a quorum, and during every football game, we had a vote that Green Hill would win. Unfortunately, Friday night, that wasn't the case. We had our illegal vote, and Green Hill did not win. So we're going to, I mean, they violated the law, actually, I think is the way that works, since we did have that vote, correct? So we probably need to go back and change that. But I do want to congratulate Green Hill High School Hawks for the wonderful season, their first year of eligibility. And they went farther than anybody else in Wilson County into the playoffs. And so I hopefully will have them up here in the next couple of meetings for a proclamation to honor them and what they were able to accomplish at the Green Hill High School. I'm fortunate that I've got two high schools, my alma mater, which is Mount Juliet, and my daughter's going to Green Hill now, as is, I think, a couple of others of our kids are going up there. So got 2 very class operations principals at both places and all the teachers that I'm aware of are our class folks, and we are so proud of our Wilson County school system and what they've been able to accomplish for our kids in Mount Juliet, West Wilson County. Other than that, I will just say happy Thanksgiving. Everybody have a very safe Thanksgiving, and be careful of those deer. They are in rut. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next, Mr. Commissioner, District 2, Commissioner Tourette.
Well, first of all, yeah, I will reiterate some of the statements that the Vice Mayor had mentioned tonight. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. You know, for us, we will be traveling this week, so we're one of the ones that's going to be traveling north, and we plan on timing our drive where we are trying to make sure that we get out of the traffic from everybody else that's going to be traveling. Obviously, we do have a lot of first responders here tonight. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here and everything that you guys do. There is a running joke that if you ever need your house to be remodeled, just to give you guys a call. I don't see it that way. I see it as in you guys are doing a great job. I am one of the commissioners, though, that do have 2 fire drills per year at my house. I check my fire extinguishers, check all of my life safety devices in my house. And I do recommend everyone, seriously, to take that moment and reach out to your first responders. You know, me personally, in the field that I'm in, you know, it's always best practice to be thinking about, if you're in a situation with your family, the house is on fire, everybody's getting out, where's your safe zone? I think that's something we should all be talking to our kids about. Last thing you want is a parent to be running back in when your son or daughter's already outside with all the, the fire department and everything else going on. You don't want all that commotion going on. So with that, I am excited, though. At the first part of the meeting that we did have a gentleman that was concerned about the lighting over there on Lebanon and Green Hills. My daughter actually was involved in a car accident there, so I'm excited that Mr. Barlow and his team is looking out ways to, first of all, save the city money by reducing recycling and reusing. So thank you, Mr. Barlow, and your team for doing what you guys do each and every day. Green Hills, yes, man, they had a great season this year. Looking forward to next year and getting my green outfits to be able to help support those students. I do have one daughter that's a sophomore this year and one that's going to be going in there in another year and a half. Well, yeah, I guess that's the way we can look at it. 7th grader, so she's got a little bit of time, but looking forward to what Green Hills has to offer. I know we do have another meeting coming up before this, but I do want to promote the Christmas parade, December 11th. We were just talking about some of the Christmas parades being at nighttime and the pros and cons there. I'm excited about just the fact that we have the ability and the freedom to have these parades. That is something that I'm really excited about. So blessed to live in this city, with everything that we have and also this country. And that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir. Well, we've got ruts, catalytic converters, and firefighters doing remodels. So City of Mount Juliet, folks. No, I'd like to seriously say congratulations to the Green Hill football team. I mean, they made it places I don't think a lot of people thought they were going to get. And like the Vice Mayor said, first year of eligibility, 5-5A championship right off the bat. We just hope we can keep Coach Crouch away from that LSU job, which they're probably recruiting him for. So it's been a good year, and they've gone a long way. So really, really proud to see them and be able to go to those games. I'm going to miss getting out there on the Friday nights and cheering it on. It's been really, really entertaining and a good time to watch them. By my calendar, I think we have about 32 days left for Christmas shopping. So I will say shop local and shop often. Keep your tax dollars in the City of Mount Juliet when you can. I think it's been mentioned we have our Christmas parade on the 11th starting at 11 a.m. And with that, I'll just leave you with this. Have a happy and safe Thanksgiving, everyone. With that, I'll recognize our city manager for his report and comments.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Vice Mayor, Commissioners. Thanks, everybody, for coming out tonight. And for those watching at home, there's a young man here that for some reason or other I I meant to get his name before. He may be here for a school project. Boy Scouts, and I want to thank him and his mom for being here tonight and recognize them. I should have got his name earlier, and I apologize for that. We appreciate you, Mom, and what you're doing for your son and what you're doing in our community. And when you get a little bit further along, come see us about an Eagle Scout project. We'd love to do that with you. Are you already on it? Oh, man, that's good, though. That's really good. But we're proud of you. It's a lot of hard work that's went into that. But I also want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving, and in particular to our police and firefighters. They'll be sacrificing, many of them away from their families, and appreciate y'all for your sacrifices that you make on our behalf to work when we're all at home enjoying Thanksgiving and having to make up for it at other times. So we really appreciate that. And it goes for our police and firefighters and their families because they sacrifice ultimately. I also like to thank our elected body and our department heads and our deputy department heads for spending all of last week, Friday, on the retreat. Thank you all for taking time. We know how busy your schedules are and how hard you have to work and make sacrifices daily for us to spend a day with us on infrastructure projects, which would be roads and sewers for our community, and discuss how important they are. So I really appreciate that. I think it was a good day to be had by all, and we appreciate you sacrificing for us. And I also like to reiterate what the mayor said and shop local. Our businesses need our local tax dollars to be spent locally. It helps all of our different businesses and all of our services here in the city. And it also encourages other businesses that we're trying to recruit to come to Mount Juliet because it shows that we support our local businesses. So really appreciate that. And speaking of fire department, Mayor, with your blessing, I'd like to invite up the fire chief for a very special and well-deserved recognition.
Thank you, Mr. Martin, for the time. Thank you, Board of Commissioners, for your interest. The Deputy Chief and I would like to recognize some folks for some meritorious effort on behalf of the fire department. We recently added 3.6 million square feet of warehousing with the Amazon project. And we all know as we drive by there what a huge structure that is. So us being a small fire department with 8 years under our belt, we were tasked with trying to figure out how are we going to address that, a small department and a large potential for loss. And so we've got a captain, Brent Blaymeyers from B Shift, has an incredible interest in fire safety. And he got on a project. And if you ever want somebody on a project and they never get off of it, it's the guy. But I'm going to ask him to come up and further explain. He has found a way that we would be able to be more effective as a small department with working in conjunction with the leadership at Amazon. So Captain Blaymeyers.
Thanks, Chief. Mayor, members of the commission. So with Amazon, when it came in and started doing inspections there, realized that it is a very, very big building, especially, even if we have 100 people, it's still a big building. There's a lot of area to cover. There's a lot of fire load in that facility, as well as people. So when I was back at the National Fire Academy at the Plans Examiner course, I sat down with some of the students there as well as the instructors, and we kind of were looking at the plans. Well, the instructor told me, this is a lot of building for a small department. You should probably come up with an idea to effectively fight this. If it catches on fire, we need a better way to fight it. So I came back and kind of brainstormed and came up with an idea of putting hose cabinets in each stairwell of the facility. So there's 12 stairwells, so we got 12 hose cabinets in there. And inside those hose cabinets is 400 feet of hose along with our appliances to fight the fire. Because each stairwell has a standpipe in them. There's 5, and there's one for each floor of the stairs. So essentially the idea is if a fire catches, let's say on the 3rd floor, we get there, we can automatically just grab the hose from the stairwell and go up there instead of taking it off of the engine. So essentially it'll reduce property damage as well as loss of life or injuries because we're going to have a quicker response. What I came up with the idea of originally for it was hose cabinets for each stairwell. But that fortunately Amazon and Panattoni kind of said, well, we don't want to do that because it's going to impede with egress, which was good because it was like 64,000 feet of hose. But when I reduced it down, we just did it on the 1st floor. They agreed to purchase 100% of all the material. We didn't have to do it. The only caveat was if they purchase all the material, we'll maintain it for the life of the building. So we'll test that hose every year. We'll take it out. We've got backup hose at the station, and then we'll bring it and we'll constantly rotate it every year. So it's up to speed. As far as I've known, they do this in the hotels that they used to. They used to have hose cabinets in the hotels. You'd see them, you pull them out and go down the hallway. But this is something that hasn't been done in a commercial warehouse, especially something this big. So it's kind of a new thing that we're doing. When we had the folks from, where was it, Massachusetts? They came out and started talking with some of the designers for Amazon. They're looking at actually implementing this into their future projects. So kind of have a good thing with Mount Juliet. We're the first of the idea for it. So hopefully it'll get better because people will improve the design that I came up with. But, hats off to the chiefs for allowing me to, explore this idea. And then plus my crew to help build these hose packs. It wasn't easy. We did it, I think, in the middle of July or August. So it was really hot, but they endured it, and it hopefully we'll never have to use it. But, this is an idea that's out here that I think will help protect something that size, and maybe we'll incorporate it in other buildings in the future too.
So anyway, I felt led to deliver them an award and recognition. States for meritorious effort in the creation and installation of the Amazon Fire Response Equipment Project, the Fire Department for the City of Mount Juliet B Shift, Captain Brent Blade Myers, Firefighter Engineer Matthew Talley, Firefighter Kate Fox, Firefighter Michael May, and the rest of the shift. Because if you know anything about brand new fire hose, it don't like to bend, it don't like to fold. So they were down there literally laying on top of this hose to get it strapped in so that it would fit in these cabinets. And we do thank Amazon for footing the bill for this. But when you have a captain like Captain Blamars, I want you to know how fortunate your fire department is to have someone of that caliber and someone who is very much interested in the fire safety for the citizens and the businesses here in Mount Juliet. So thank you for this time, and thank you for your time, sir. Thank you.
And Mayor, if you ever want mustache advice or anybody wants mustache advice, just visit the local fire department. And I didn't realize there's so many different versions of mustaches.
We got specifications.
Specifications.
I can get you copies of it.
That's exactly right. But we really do appreciate the team and all the good work that they do. I think we got a good bunch, a really good bunch. And Mayor, you'd asked me this question earlier, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention it. But on December 11th, the city and also Shiloh Baptist Church will be having our second annual tree lighting ceremony. The food trucks and activities will start at 3 p.m. and then at 4 p.m. will be music and programs. And then shortly thereafter, the closer we get to dark, will be the actual lighting of the tree. And it should be even bigger and better than last year with a lot more activities and things going on this year. So very thankful, very blessed, and we really appreciate you guys a ton. And that concludes my report.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
With that, we will move into the business portion of the agenda. I have our first item is item 9.1. This is an ordinance on second reading. An ordinance to amend the Mount Juliet City Code, Chapter 2, Administration, Article 2, Board of Commissioners, Section 2, 23, videotape recording of meetings. Have a motion
Second.
and have a second. It is on the floor. Any comments? Our sponsor, Commissioner Mullally.
I would like to add an amendment to this to include citizen comments in all special meetings and work sessions.
Okay, that's your motion. Do we have a second on that?
I'll second.
All right, we have a second. All right, is this captured in the same section of law referring to, because we're amending Section 223?
To add that.
Okay. Our city attorney, was you?
Just some of our work sessions aren't for the public. It could be executive sessions, work sessions, and if they're not held in here, I don't know how you're going to record, videotape those meetings. So those public hearing meetings that are held here, I guess, may be a better
But aren't the
descriptions.
special meetings and the work sessions public?
No, Not all of them are.
I think you're referring to executive session.
Executive sessions, which can be work sessions as well. I just want it clarified that not all meetings are public meetings.
Would you two be agreeable to include the word public?
Yes, please.
Yes.
Okay. Any objection to that change? All right. Commissioner Trevette?
I know that like Windows was brought up last time, and I don't know if this is for our IT director. Is there, I mean, because I know there was a additional cost for this. That was my only, question, and I don't know what that cost was going to be. Do we know?
To add citizen comments?
No, to have these recordings. Do we know what
Yeah,
they?
that was $75. That was part of the minutes I wanted to
That's right.
revise
Okay.
for the record. It was $75.
Okay. And then my second part, which was going back to Mr. Marquette's, just making sure for the executive meetings. That was my only question, which he had already answered it. So thank you.
Let's get the vice mayor. I'll come back to you.
Just clarification, your amendment to add citizen comments. Are you referring to the videotaping of citizen comments or allowing citizen comments? That's a. Okay, so
Well, for clarification, yeah, we've not done that in the past.
we're doing two things here. We're
Yes.
videotaping recording of workshops, and we're also allowing.
Well, the ordinance is for videotaping. The amendment is to include citizen comments. Agreeable?
Just wanted to clarify that.
Vice Mayor?
We have had numerous meetings where we've not recorded in here or where we've not met in here. How many meetings has it been that we've actually had up in the front conference room? So, I mean, are we going to now, those are no more? We're just going to.
Well, this ordinance does not require it to be streamed. So.
Well, I know we still have to, there's not a
We have to
recording
allow
capability.
citizen comments in there, is it the question?
Well, that, and is there a recording capability in there that I'm not aware of?
Well, it's like the work session. We recorded that Wednesday with just a camera on a tripod.
Which one was that?
The offsite we just had.
Okay. So, I mean, that's my question. Are we going to do that in there as well?
If this passes,
Okay.
to comply with the law.
All right.
Commissioner Mullally?
Would that be considered a special session or work session, the one we had on Wednesday?
It'll be a work session.
Off-site work session?
Mhm.
Well, how about if we amend it to say in the chambers?
What is your goal?
Hmm.
My question is, what is your goal? I mean,
Well,
I'm sorry.
let's do this, because you're talking about amendment. We've got an amendment on the floor right now to amend citizen comments.
Mhm.
When you say amend it, are you talking about the amendment for citizen comments, or are you talking about the ordinance?
Okay, the ordinance is that all special meetings and work sessions, public, will be recorded, not live streamed, but recorded. That's the ordinance. And then I amended to add an amendment to that ordinance to city code to say that the same special meetings and public and work sessions be given the citizens, the public, the opportunity for citizen comments in those meetings.
Correct.
So did that answer the question?
But you were talking about another amendment, so I was asking if you were trying to amend the amendment that's on the table now or the ordinance.
No, sorry. I only had one amendment
Okay.
to add that language into the city code.
Okay. Commissioner Trevette?
And Mayor, I apologize if I'm getting a little bit confused here, but so my only concern is that, again, we don't want to get into a situation where if we have a meeting that is not in here, where it could be costing the city more money to be able to start doing, additional recordings and so forth. As the vice mayor had stated, if there was a small meeting that was up in the front of the city hall here, do we have to hire or not hire, but bring in somebody overtime to basically stay over for these meetings? As in, if they're in this room right here, we have the ability, the technology, so that's my only concern right there.
Commissioner?
So I think that's where I came back and maybe you thought that was an amendment, an additional amendment, because I had said, what if we revise that to say that all public meetings held here in the chambers?
Be allowed citizen comments.
Yeah, work sessions and special meetings.
Okay. Well, you can make an emotion to amend that, to amend your ordinance.
To amend the
Ordinance on the
amendment?
table. Yes.
Okay.
Amend the
I
amendment.
motion to amend the amendment to specify and say that it would only apply to all public work sessions and public special meetings held in the BOC chamber.
Okay. So, is there a second on that?
No, that has nothing to do with the recording.
Can you say that one more time? Because there's a little bit of confusion here.
Okay.
And I'm sorry.
So
I just want to make sure that I
No,
understand.
no, no,
So my
we'll
apologies.
get it clarified. What I heard, Commissioner,
okay.
is you want to amend the amendment requiring allowing citizen comments, but you're wanting to only require the citizen comments to be heard in this chamber.
Yeah, if we meet back in that little room, we don't have to do that.
Okay.
Can I make a suggestion?
Commissioner Hefner?
Can we not establish another ordinance that just deals specifically with the citizen comments and let's just vote on the recording? That's just a suggestion. I know we're amending the amendment, but I just wanted to, it sounds like we're trying to do too much with this ordinance where we're just trying to agree that we're going to videotape meetings.
All right, Commissioner Mullally?
I sent another ordinance in and it was Sheila's suggestion that I do an amendment to this.
Well, let's just talk it through.
All right. So on the floor, we have an amendment that's been amended to allow citizen comments for special meetings and workshops that are held in this chamber. That's what's on the floor.
Would it be easier if I pulled both of those amendments and then did a new one to amend and reworded it as one amendment? Would that be easier?
I can't guarantee that would be easier, but it might be worth a shot if the seconders agreeable. Right now, the vice mayor, I assume you want to speak to this amendment? Vice Mayor?
I make a motion to defer this so that we can bring it back at the next meeting with a little more clarification as to how this needs to move forward, so we don't spend the rest of the night having a conversation about it.
We have a motion to defer and it's been seconded for one meeting.
Just one.
All right, any discussion or debate on the advisement of deferral? All in favor of deferral for one meeting, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously. So we will move with this item deferred, 9-1 deferred one meeting. We'll move to 9-2, an ordinance to amend fiscal year 21-22, budget ordinance 21-19 to appropriate funds for the purchase of 00 Lebanon Dirt Road, map 73, parcel 81, being approximately 22 acres from Dorothy Churchwell for the purpose of an EQ basin for the sewer department. Have a motion and a second. It's on the floor. Any discussion, questions, comments? Our city attorney.
Just one thing, we're going to change the closing agent from foundation title to commerce title.
Commerce title.
They can get it done quicker. It's now been moved up to the next couple of weeks.
Do we need to change anything we're doing tonight, or is that just
No,
point of
just to make
information?
that aware and approve the substituting those and we'll make those changes.
Perfect. City manager.
And Mayor, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention this. This is a huge step and very grateful to our commission for stepping up so quick on this property come along for our infrastructure and also for our sewer capabilities in this city. So thank you all very much for supporting this.
All right, thank you. All in favor of the ordinance as read, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Next to order is 9A, a resolution approving the agreement to sell 2365 North Mount Juliet Road and authorize the city manager to sign the agreement and close on the property. Have a motion and a second. Falls under Commissioner Justice's sponsorship.
Yeah, and I would actually, again, this is one that I don't know how I wound up with the sponsor on it. I'm still trying to figure that one
I
out.
love saying it though.
But I'll take it and run with it at this point. But I did talk to the gentleman who's wanting to purchase that, and he asked if we could go ahead and defer this. He plans on bringing in a complete plan of this area for us to look at prior to making a decision as to whether or not to sell or not sell. I have not seen it, so I don't know.
Is that your motion deferral?
Correct. Yes, sir.
How long?
It's 2 meetings.
2 meetings?
Yes, sir.
Second, and I will gladly support that because I don't see the sales agreement attached. So any questions or comments on the advisement of deferral? All in favor of deferral for 2 meetings, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously. We are deferred for 2 meetings on 9A. Moving to new business, item 11.1, redistricting of 4 districts in the Mount Juliet based on the 2020 census.
This is first reading, correct?
This is,
Okay.
have a motion
Second.
and have a second. This is on the floor. Commissioner Mullally,
A motion to adopt the first map 1.
all right, we have a motion to adopt map 1. Is there a
There
second?
is-
Got a second?
Yes, sir.
Okay, they're on the floor. Motion to adopt map 1. Any discussion on the adoption of map 1?
I would, if I may.
Yes, sir.
It's Mr. Ely, who, by the way, great job on working all through all these numbers, the census blocks and all the rest of that. I know that can't be easy. Anytime you're dealing with the federal government, you know it's going to be a mess, and you've been able to successfully simplify that process. So thank you. There was a part of that I was looking at, though, excuse me, that actually swaps a piece of property or a section that Commissioner Hefner and I have, being the Jackson Hills, and then the other side of, which is west of Mount Juliet Road. And I talked to Mr. Ely about that and making that change. So I will probably be working with him to bring in that. That would be the only change that I saw at this point. So
One suggestion that I may make is you may want to go with proposal number 2 because that's exactly what it does.
Right.
It brings Jackson Hills into Hefner's district, and then that area, I guess, would be west of North Mount Juliet Road into Ray Justice's district.
well, the other part of that, though, the difference was one that Commissioner Trevette wasn't comfortable with was the section farthest west on Lebanon Road, where I had the north side of Lebanon Road, and he had and actually a couple of pieces on the other side. So that would also have to be changed in number 2.
Yeah, that's fine. I think there's only about 40 or 50 people that live in that section, so that can be easily amended and fall
Okay.
into the
All right.
10% deviation.
Yeah, that was the only issue that I had, and I will get with you between now and then, bring that back so that
But
we can.
Yeah, and I think you want to go with proposal number 2 because that's
Okay.
That's basically what it is.
Well, then do we want to continue with number 1 or want to go with number 2? I don't know what number 2 does to the other districts, so I don't know.
You're the mover and you're the seconder.
Yeah, I mean I'm sorry.
I have one of the biggest impacts. On 1.
On 1. Mhm. So you didn't like 1.
No, no, my preference is 2.
Well, see, my preference is 2 also, but
What do you say?
there were some things that Commissioner Trevette didn't like about that. So I think what we probably need to do is sit down with Mr. Ely and bring those back and get those to the other commissioners between now and the next meeting for them to look at and see if there's any any issues,
Okay.
that we could actually substitute that for maybe a proposal 4 to adopt at the next meeting or something. I don't know what District 4's impact is. I haven't even looked at it. Or District
There's very
2's for that
little
matter.
impact in District 4.
I'm sorry.
It's all, yeah, same.
So,
Okay, so the only impact really is mine and yours.
A
pretty
little,
much.
little bit with 2, but
Right.
Easy fix up.
So it does sound like an easy fix to go with 2 and then
modify it.
modify it.
so we have a motion on the floor right now to, we have a motion to amend this ordinance to accept map number 1. That's what's on the table at the moment.
I'm going to pull my second on that.
Okay.
And not any, no offense to what you're suggesting here, but if there's no impact to District 4, then the only impact is to mine and his. Then it seems like we should go with 2, and it's on the minute, says recorded now that we will make whatever necessary changes we feel comfortable with to bring a modified version of number 2 that everybody's comfortable
However,
with.
if the only change is just Lebanon Road, I mean, why don't we just amend that now? I mean, if that's the only
Well,
change.
Well, that's not the only change, is it?
Yeah, there's one other minor change I have
Okay.
on too,
Okay.
and has to do with Clearview Estates and Moreland Farms.
Okay.
So, like I said, I mean, what I would like to do is rather than do 1, I would make a
Well,
change that to 2.
Well, let's go back. We had the motion for it to adopt map 1. It doesn't have a second unless we got somebody else to fall in. So that dies for lack of second. So we're back on the ordinance as presented here.
So
there's-
with all due respect, Ms. Mullally, I would ask for an amendment to change that to number 2.
okay, so we have
Motion. Second.
all right, we have an amendment to adopt map number 2 and a second on that. Discussion on map 2. Any more discussion than we already had on that? Commissioner Trevette.
All right, so what I ask is that the commissioners and then the vice mayor get together and we work together on Lebanon Road, correcting that, keeping, those that are in proposal number 2, keeping those that are currently green to go back to red. And then obviously whatever discussion that Commissioner 3 and Vice Mayor needs to make their modifications. That's all. That's all I ask.
Okay.
I do have one.
Commissioner Hefner.
I do have one that would impact your district, and that's Moreland Farms, which, if you look at the map, it goes
Is this the number 2 or number 1?
2.
2.
Yeah, so you got District 3 right in the middle. Moreland Farms splits Clearview Drive right in half. So you got the west side of Clearview Drive, Commissioner Trevette's district, and then the other half in my district. I think that's.
And the reason for that is because the census block splits it. We have to go by census blocks, and that's where the block is, and that's why that's split.
Okay.
Clearview right here.
Where is Clearview? Right here.
Clearview is the census block line.
Yeah.
And I'm sure everybody who's listening to this is wondering what a census block is. But it's the right way to say it's the Census Department draws them up. We have no control over them, and that's the way they record their numbers. So
That is
we have to
correct.
go by those to know
Yeah.
where the people are to defend our proposal if it goes to court. Is that
Yes.
fair?
Yes.
Okay. So it can't be done.
Not really. No, the census block is right there, so we can't really split a census block.
Okay.
So you need to map, if there's a way you could work it out, keeping the entire census block. But every time you move a census block, you move the numbers around.
Correct. Yeah.
It's just
Okay.
a
It's a juggling act.
sadistic game of juggling these numbers.
Okay. All right.
Commissioner Mullally?
My Providence neighborhoods are being split.
That is correct.
Providence neighborhood, the HOA, the master HOA is being split.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, losing, forget the name of the neighborhood now, but it's being pulled out,
The
plus the
reserve,
cottages.
well, yeah.
That's not,
losing-
doesn't fall under the master, does it?
The cottages does, the villages does, and the reserve does.
That was the same map.
Yeah, they're exactly the same, but still, it's Providence neighborhoods are being split.
That wasn't an issue on map 1.
No, it's exactly the same.
It's,
I was just saying,
neighborhoods are getting split.
yeah,
It's unfortunate sometimes, but, and we see it a lot more, and I haven't seen the new county commission district for 2020, but I believe that was adopted on November 15th. You see it a lot more in that where they follow straight census blocks, and they have so many districts that they don't have a lot to play around with on it. So you see neighborhoods split a lot more common at the county level. You have people on one side of the road and some on 8, Hickory Hills is part 8, part 2, and then Willoughby Station's part 8, part 2, Chandler Point's part 2, part 16. So it's just your district, I think it's got 14, 16, and 11 in it.
yeah. Some of those are being contested, I think.
Well, that'll be interesting. All right, we're on the adoption or the amendment to adopt map 2. I think what I'm hearing is map 2 serves as a great base to make some tweaks from. And my suggestion would be maybe reach out from now between first reading and second reading to Mr. Ely and just let him know what you're thinking. That'd give him an opportunity to be able to adjust the numbers so we know, if you swing one census block one way or the other, that's moving 500 people around, or we're moving 5 people around on the map. No one's getting displaced, just the map, but the way the lines are drawn. But just so he has an opportunity to explain. I guess it doesn't impact me. I represent the whole city, but I guess as a guiding principle, my preference would be to see the districts that are growing the fastest start off closer to the bottom of the 10% deviation to allow for growth. And the district we anticipate growing the slowest be at the top, but that's tough to juggle too sometimes. Any other comments on the adoption of map 2?
Did Commissioner Trevette have an amendment for Lebanon Road, or you were just,
I'm just stating.
okay. So this is to adopt it as is at this point.
Yes.
Okay.
Whoa, wait a minute, to adopt it as is without.
Well, we just got we've got the amendment was to adopt map 2. Yep. This is
Okay.
just first reading.
Gotcha, never mind.
We technically, to comply with the law, which is past this by the end of the year, we have 2 more commission meetings to get it done past this. So we need to defer, and after discussion on next meeting, we have that opportunity. But that will mean we're going to be meeting here, I think, on the 27th after Christmas, if you do, which is a regular scheduled meeting anyway, to the 27th. All right. Any other discussion on the adoption of map number 2? All in favor of the amendment to adopt map number 2 and amend the ordinance as written, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The amendment passes unanimously. We're back on the ordinance now as once amended. All right. All in favor of the ordinance as once amended, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously. I would say we probably don't want to put this one on consent agenda, though. Next item is 11.2, an ordinance to amend the fiscal year 2021 budget ordinance 2119 appropriated funds for the design and engineering costs to correct stormwater drainage issues at Mundy Memorial Park.
Motion.
Have a motion and a second. We are on the floor. Any discussion, questions, or comments on this item? Let's get the Public Works Director on standby. Commissioner Justice, or excuse me, Vice Mayor Justice, what do you?
I'm just wanting to try to figure the scope of what we're trying to accomplish here, because I know that there is one lady that I know of over there has been flooded for years. And I'm hoping that what we're talking about will eliminate that. Now, we'd also talked about, Shane, I'm sorry, we'd also talked about that there was some stormwater potential there for the federal government to come in and help us to buy out a home if that was an option. And I don't know what that is, but
This goes to the former of what you were talking about. A few months ago, Vice Mayor and Commissioner Mullally emailed the Public Works Department about flooding in Belinda. And upon further review at the site, we found a deficiency at Mundy Park that poses a threat for further flooding. It was convenient that the Parks Department, Mr. Lee, had a consultant out there already working on his park, and we were able to have discussions with Collier Engineering to get this addressed quickly. And that's what this project is. It's basically going to be a precursor to our stormwater utility, a project that you, the Vice Mayor, Commissioner Mullally, saw. We looked at it at the park, found out that it is a big issue that needs to be remediated immediately, and we're taking steps to do that per your request.
and I appreciate that. And I'm not throwing this at you. You've been here, what, a year, less than a year, a little bit?
Just over a year.
Yeah. Okay. So we can't beat you up for none of this stuff. Okay. Even Mr. Barlow, we can't beat him up for all this. But over the years, I know for a fact that her house is flooded and flooded and flooded and flooded and flooded. I know for a fact that she's been to the Public Works on numerous occasions asking why. And we've never gotten a good answer. And so, I mean, I guess at this point, I'm probably going to congratulate you guys for actually coming up with that. So thank you. But I mean, is there some reason why she's had to endure this all this time?
I would have to defer to Director Barlow on that. I don't know the resident specifically, other than the one time you.
And I don't want to bring her name up in
Right.
public. I mean, she deserves her privacy, but she's dealt with this for a long time. And again, I can't blame you guys for this. Y'all came in and under your watch, you get the problem fixed. So.
Yeah, and we've gone out and visited the property. It's particular property. In fact, several homes over there backs up to call it a stream, and there's several issues. I think over time, I think one is the way it's constructed. There's a lot of basement lots that are finished out now that may not have been finished out many years ago. There's groundwater issues. There's subpar drainage issues from the roadways itself from when it was built. There's just a myriad of issues out there. And so what we're trying to solve out of this, obviously we have we have other issues with roadway drainage that we eventually want to get to. A lot of that being with the stormwater utility. But the issue that we're trying to address here is more or less the flooding in the backyards of these. Mundy Park in particular drains to this area. And so we saw an opportunity where we could not only take something that there's an old pond in Mundy Park functioning very poorly. And we see an opportunity, not only can we remediate an issue that flows toward these people's homes, but also take it and make it better. It's not designed for any detention whatsoever. And so what we're trying to do is actually take that, reutilize the pond that's out there. It's got a very large drainage area, and trying to actually have it meet design storm levels so that we can remediate that. And at least, I'll never say we're going to keep somebody's house from flooding, but what we're trying to do is at least reduce the risk because we have a March type flood. There's nothing you can do for those types of events, hardly. But instead of spending, tens of millions of dollars, but in this kind of a situation, I think it is a key drainage area that can really help that area. And while I say I'm not, we won't prevent it, but I think we can help it.
Well, and I would say that one of my goals is to manage expectations. So, you saying, no, I'm not going to eliminate the flooding over there, I think is probably, that's good. But I hate the idea that we can't eliminate the flooding over there. So I'd like to know what that would take. This woman's dealt with this and I'm not sure, probably 25 years or better. And the other question that I've got is, once this is accomplished, is she going to be able to revisit? Are we going to be able to revisit the Corps of Engineers floodplain maps and get them out of the floodplain or out of the flood zone? Is that going to be something we can accomplish or?
I believe, Shane, do you recall? I don't think that property is in the floodplain.
I think part
No.
of it's in the floodway.
The ones further downstream are the ones I believe it would be, correct me if I'm wrong, Commissioner Mullally, I think Sunnymead are in the floodway. The properties are, I think the houses are definitely in the floodplain. Yeah. Oh, thanks, Rob. Hey, perfect. I got the expert back here, Rob, our floodplain administrator. And so, yes, those are, I'm pretty sure, Rob, am I correct? I think the further up, and I think the ones we're discussing, there is no floodplain. Am I correct?
I'm not sure which one you're discussing.
Anyway, so I think the idea there is that, well, I'll go back to what we discussed Friday with our stormwater utility. The consultant that's doing the work for us to help establish the utility, we're not only looking at what it's going to take to establish a utility, we're also looking at actual drainage, detailed drainage for what's happening within our city. The point of that is so that we can identify key projects, areas like this. Maybe, just maybe, there's an opportunity directly upstream from this, which is in the Bark Park. There's maybe an opportunity there that we can have some stormwater detention, something of the like there that could help. And I won't say eliminate, but it could get the risk down maybe so low that there would be no flooding.
Okay. Well, while I'm talking about managing expectations, I also would
Mhm.
like to know what our expectations are and how long this is going to take, the scope of work, and then when we can actually say, okay, you're going to see relief on this date.
It's going to be project specific. I'll say with this project that we have on the agenda for tonight, I think once completed, you'll see relief out of that immediately.
Okay, but I'm going to. I think I almost got a T-dot answer out of you. I don't need that.
Well, I'm excited about this particular project. I'll say that.
Okay,
I
how
think
long
this
is it going to take though? I know, but and that's kind of my problem. I want a date. What date?
I'd say
When are they
within
going
a
to have this
year.
completed?
Within a year.
Within a year.
Mhm. No, survey and construction.
Okay, so can we get a timeline on what the plans look like, and then get a timeline on when the construction will start, and then get a timeline on a completion date, so we're not out here with Collier Engineering for the next 37 years, please?
Yes. So the next agenda, the next meeting, we will have Collier's agreement on there. We've got the first reading for the budget amendment tonight. Collier will be on the next meeting for passage of that contract. So we'll get some more information.
I've asked in the past too on these engineering contracts that we have an end date. So I would hope. I don't think, is there a way to do liquidated damages on that, Mr. Marchetti? Okay. Okay, so we would probably need to have something in line that says, okay, you've got so many times, so many days to finish this project. And if you're not finished with this project, then all of a sudden the money that we were paying you starts coming back to us. So, I don't know if that's going to confound things, but the days of unending projects need to be over. So just throwing that out there.
We can take a look at that. It might affect our value, dollar amount they've given to us, I'd imagine.
We don't have to vote for it, so.
No, I know. We're not looking at that tonight, but we already have the scope. We already have the agreement in hand.
So this is just first reading tonight on the budget amendment for this. Commissioner Hefner?
I just got a question on the amendment. Is this did something trigger this? I mean, or was it overlooked during the budget season?
Well, we saw an opportunity here. We went and we started looking at some opportunities. What can we do in this area? Obviously, we have some dated infrastructure. And so we went out there, Shane, myself, representatives from Collier went out there, took a look at the park. And because we felt like, well, let me back up a half step. we're actually already doing the work down there, pickleball courts, tennis courts. So they were going to have some storm detention there. Shane's done that and gone through the reviews on that. We tried to see, is there opportunities with that design we could oversize that detention? We went out there and we started looking at some opportunities, and we realized there's an old pond there that isn't functioning well. And as a result, we felt like, hey, here's an opportunity where we thought maybe we could do something up here with this park project that Rocky's got going on. We felt like, no, here's a much larger opportunity. And so this is what came to us, obviously, with the urgency that is stormwater. We feel like it's one of those things we did not want to wait until the next budget year. We want to go ahead and push that forward and get that started in this budget year. So
Yeah, I'm going to support the budget amendment, but I'm not a fan of them, especially when this is something that we could have forecasted last year. So it sounds like it was a missed opportunity during last year when we were setting the budget. But again, I'm going to support it because we need it. But if something comes up, an emergency, something that's unforeseen, then I could understand doing a budget amendment.
Well, I would probably call this, I mean, we were out there, I guess it's been a month ago is when we found this. We did not know this existed.
Okay.
And so we felt like not only do we want to do a repair, we could do the repair at no change to the budget as it sits today. But we feel like we want to take a step better and do something more than just a repair.
Okay, so we just discovered this a month ago.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. But you understand what I'm
Yes, sir.
getting at.
Yes.
Again, I come from the private sector. You don't get budget amendments. You either remove something if you're going to add something. So, but that's just me.
Commissioner Mullally?
I want to thank y'all for working on this towards solutions because, as you know, when I got this seat over 2 years ago, that was the first question I had for y'all is what can we do about the flooding in Melinda City? And so it's been a continual problem along the way. And I too have been working with this particular lady for 2 years now. And so I just want to thank y'all for pursuing this to find solutions to this. And year and a half ago in March, not this year, but last year, that remember y'all came out and to Sunny Mead and Southeast Springdale, and we talked about this, and we talked about the pond at the park. Remember, we talked about all that, and then it was I and Adam Metters who went walking and discovered a culvert coming from the ballpark, which is where the flooding occurs on Belinda Parkway, where the PD has to close the road every time it has a hard rainfall. And so, this has been a continual process. And even the lady and I have personally explored and traced creeks that meet other creeks and streams that aren't even on the maps. So I mean, she and I also have done a lot of work on this. But so this is about $50,000 over 12 months. Will this correct the flooding issue specifically, where I'm talking about on Belinda Parkway, as well as Southeast Springdale and Sunny Mead, as the Vice Mayor had already asked?
Yes, I think this is directly upstream. So this outlet of this pipe, you have that outlet, and then basically you have the residential properties. It goes into the residential properties that front Belinda Parkway. So it is right there. It will be directly controlled. And based on review of this pond with the breach that we found from the pond itself, I believe that could be the reason that we've had worsening issues. Obviously, this is something that's gradually gotten worse over time. And I would say March probably really hurt. So as a result, I think with the outlet controls that we would have on this, it would be my prediction. I'll never say fully 100% confident, but I would be pretty confident it's going to greatly reduce and or eliminate the flooding on Belinda Parkway right there.
All right, would this detention pond be a 25-year,
Oh, we're going to shoot for 100.
100? Okay,
Mhm.
good, because I was going to ask for that. Will this affect or delay the tennis courts, Rockies project, the tennis courts and pickleball courts?
No, those are already designed. I believe, Shane, you had those already approved. Yeah, final review right now. And I think Rocky's plan for those to start that project at the beginning of the year.
Okay, good. And will it affect the course of the Frisbee golf in any way?
Yes. So the Frisbee golf is in the pond. So the idea is that ultimately that is definitely going to have to come out of the pond area itself. Now the Frisbee golf, obviously there's more room that Rocky can have on that park to utilize that, but we would definitely, for public safety reasons, not want them in the actual basin area of the pond.
All right, so is there room enough there to move some of the courses further, a little further up? to
I
get
would
it out
need
of
to, I would need to
there?
have Rocky's input on that, honestly.
All right, so that's in question right now.
Yes, it is.
Okay, well, that's all my questions.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments, discussion on this item? Got our city manager.
Sorry for the long-windedness. Commissioner, after I totally agree with you. If this hadn't been brought up when it was or discovered when it was, we wouldn't have brought it to you guys. But I will say this is a perfect example why we have a great planning commission. You think of many, many years ago before we annexed Belinda City in the early 90s, a lot of that area was built, especially along those creeks and waterways, like ditches, whatever, blue line streams. It's a perfect example why we have good planning today to try to avoid those types of things. But I appreciate the commission stepping up and helping us with this. But I agree with you 100%.
All right. All in favor of the ordinance, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Got a unanimous pass on this. Next item is Resolution 11-1, a resolution approving an amendment to the agreement between the City of Mount Juliet, Tennessee and the Tennessee Department of Transportation for Phase 1 of the Cedar Creek Greenway project and authorizing the mayor to sign the agreement. Got a motion? And a second. Is it on the floor? Any discussion, comments, or questions?
Oh, absolutely. I love this one.
All right. Vice Mayor.
Why in the world would we turn a sidewalk or a walking trail over to TDOT when I can't even get a road built? I mean, back in 2005, I think it was, is when me and Jeannie Bess Hibbett and a couple of others actually sat down with a crayon, basically, and we did our engineering version of the Greenway, of the Cedar Creek Greenway. And I got that approved and got everything donated when they built Tuscan Gardens and all the other. That was when we were talking about. Now, this is 2005, 4, 6, somewhere around in there. And here we are, 2021, and we're still talking about it. And now we're going to turn around and give it to TDOT to do. I'm missing something here because what I tell you what I am missing. Says the City of Mount Juliet desires to coordinate with TDOT for the installation of a greenway between Charlie Daniels Park and Golden Bear Gateway near Mount Juliet High School, which is exactly what I'm talking about. It says that we are giving transportation officer of the city desires to coordinate. TDOT has provided the City of Mount Juliet with an amendment to the agreement for the purpose of providing an understanding between the parties of their respective obligations related to the construction of this project. I haven't seen a thing, and this is a resolution. I have not seen one single thing that said what they were going to do or not do, and what we were going to do. I'm not going to vote on this based on what it says that we've got when I don't have what it says we got. It's not there. Where is this understanding?
So, Vice Mayor, that was actually already agreed to many years ago. This is an amendment to that agreement.
So what is that amendment?
So the amendment is to add money.
From us?
Grant money. No, from.
Okay, so when are they going to start on this, or is it going to be 27 years before they get a sidewalk done?
We should be clearing this week or next week, probably.
Okay, and completion?
I don't have the completion timeline. I believe it's around 6 to 9 months.
Okay. I've asked for a meeting with the governor for the specific conversation to be had to explain to him why the bureaucracy that we call TDOT and their incompetence has cost us millions of dollars. I'm insisting that we have that conversation somewhere along the line with Paul Deggs or somebody else with TDOT. The fact that we have got $40 million worth of road projects that are on the board and we can't get a thing completed. 7, 8 years ago, we asked for their help and they said, yeah, we'll give you some assistance just as soon as we can. Since then, we have yet to see an orange barrel on Lebanon Road. Matter of fact, it was in the budget and was pulled off of the budget. So there's not even budgeted for them to be doing any kind of construction. We're talking about a half-mile section. You and I have had this conversation, and again, it sounds like I'm beating you up, and I apologize because I'm not. But I am so frustrated with this federal organization that we call TDOT. We cannot get a half-mile section paved and widened. They are ridiculous. If there's anything that it needs to be disbanded in the state of Tennessee, it would be the Tennessee Department of Transportation. $23 million. Is that correct? Or was it 26?
Which Lebanon
Road widening from Park Glen to,
No, yeah,
it's 26 million, wasn't it?
somewhere in that range.
Yeah,
Yes.
for a half mile. And what did it cost us to build Golden Bear? The entire road, $23 million?
Around that.
Yeah, you can see why my frustration might be through the roof at this point. I'm sick of TDOT, sick of their promises. And now we're going to go in here and get in bed with them on a sidewalk. Took them 6 years to get a red light at Park Glen that was granted to us. Sick of them. Mayor, I'm done. Thank you.
Right. Any other questions or comments or discussion?
Is it clear that I dislike TDOT?
I was beginning to think you were leaning that direction
Okay,
of
just
dislike for
checking. Make sure.
TDOT. All in favor of the resolution as read, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
No.
All right. Next item is 11.2, a resolution approving an agreement between the city of Mount Juliet, Tennessee and Reagan Smith Associates for construction engineering inspection of the Providence Parkway intersection improvement project and authorizing the mayor to sign the agreement. Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
No.
Passes 4-1. 11.3, a resolution authorizing the execution of a contract between the city of Mount Juliet and Clary Construction Incorporated for the construction of a multi-purpose fields and park located at Tate Lane, minus the alarm going off. Got a motion and second. Any discussion on this? All right, this is a big one. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously. The next item is 11.4, resolution declaring the city of Mount Juliet Public Works Department property as surplus to be disposed of at Gov Deals auction. Motion. Second. Any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? That passes by 5-0. 11.5, a resolution approving an agreement between the city of Mount Juliet, Tennessee and Duncan Associates for the completion of an impact fee rate study and authorizing the mayor to sign the agreement. Is there a motion? Have a motion and a second. Any discussion or comments, questions? Commissioner Mullally?
I'm going to vote for it, but I'm still confused on what it is we're doing the study on that Gino had the questions on. But because I read all those emails, so it's $47,000 over a period of 6 months. And my question was, okay, is this really, can we legally do it? I'm still confused on that. Any input from legal?
Yeah.
I'm
The question,
confused as what they're studying as well. The basic issue is their agreement seems to say they're looking at increasing the quote impact fee from 1998, which is not an impact fee, it's a tax, and they admit that. So what specifically they're going to be reviewing and studying that would help us create an impact fee for a particular developer or development in a particular area. If we're looking at a study that would say we're going to do $250 million worth of work over the next 10 years, and it looks like you're going to be, and we're going to have 10,000 homes. So let's divide 250 million by 10,000, and that's the fee for everybody that comes in here. We can't do that. We have to do something that relates whatever the quote impact is on a particular area on our infrastructure. Andy had a point the other day, some of the projects we're looking at, everyone in the city is going to use it. This isn't Chicago, Illinois with so many hundreds of square miles. But an area in Providence is going to use a lot more of a road over there than someone on Golden Bear. Yes, they'll have some impact bringing traffic, but it's not going to be the same. So whatever impact fee we wish to charge that particular developer for his or her development needs to have some nexus relationship connection to the fee that we're getting ready to charge them. So there isn't going to be a blanket fee. So I don't know if Andy's here or not to say what specifically this is going to study, quote, close quote. Any information is always helpful.
I think the idea of when we embarked on this was something along the lines of what a lot of other cities, I know Commissioner Hefner and I have talked a lot. We've looked at Brentwood, we've looked at Franklin, I've looked at Spring Hill, Smyrna as well, peer cities for us. They do have that blanket, I would say, from what Gino was saying, single family residential. Basically, they take, and it's not that you have developments pay for existing deficiencies. You have them pay for, I think I liken it to the sewer capacity, how we have developments pay for the capacity that they're taking up in the system. This is, the idea is much the same, that they're taking up whatever available capacity we have. Therefore, we need new, expanded, widened roads to make up for that. And so the idea is that, okay, here's our capital plan. And from that plan or transportation plan, even in a broader sense, and here's the money that we're going to have to expend. Obviously, we know that to shoulder development with all that is probably not the answer, but for them to do their part in taking, offsetting the impacts that they bring to the community with the traffic, and I'd say the negative impacts that they bring to the transportation load on roadways. The way they've done it in those cities, from what kind of against what Gino is saying, obviously we have a private act passed by the state legislature that restricts us. We are a home rule city as well. I'll let Gino speak on both of those and how that could restrict us or make it different. But the idea is, if nothing else, even if there's a, from the study, I'd like to at least know, I think in a broader sense, where are we leaving money on the table with developments when they're coming in? We have residential PUDs. They have the 50 cents per square foot impact fee that's in our ordinance that we've been collecting since 1998, I believe. Obviously, we've lost inflationary impact on that. 50 cents a square foot today is not what it was then. We are also collecting $2,500 customary voluntary contribution to transportation from residential projects. That has been the gold standard since 2004, again, losing inflationary impact there. And so as a result, we know that we're not receiving the benefits based on those numbers alone of what we were receiving 15 and 20 years ago. And so that's the idea, is to recuperate that. We want the developments to do their part. We have been very strict on developments and doing improvements where we see fit. logical connections, logical improvements, lowering hills, connecting roadways, widening roadways, et cetera. But this is an opportunity there. I would say that we do not collect any impact fees whatsoever on commercial. There is none. And I would state that I believe, in my opinion, that is where we're losing the greatest dollar amount today. I believe that we're doing fairly well based on what we're having developments do with this board, with the planning commission as well, and having developments do their part on those impacts. Some high-level commercial projects, yes. But when you talk about a straight zoned commercial property, they're not providing any impact fees, no contributions, or very little, I should say. There's rare occasions, but we're losing money and we're leaving it on the table. And so those are the ones that we're trying to capture.
But I guess the question is home rule got us basically handicapped to the point that we can't do anything with this study if we get it, no matter what the study says?
No, home rule just keeps the state from doing something on our 50 cent per deal. My suggestion would be have one of these work sessions, whether videotaped or not, that would explain all of this in greater detail so we know exactly what there is. We're not against raising more money for the city to do these improvements. But what we don't want to do is do something that some developer, when you come in here, think you're going to collect $2.5 million, and they said, nope, your quote impact fee is not legal or just, so thank you very much, but we're going to build regardless. Then you also get into the 50 cents a square foot plus a 2,500 plus requiring them to do additional road work. You may get into the issue of, why do I need to do this additional road work? You're collecting $7,000 from me, so you do the road work. Similar to what we did with Amazon. So my suggestion would be defer this and let's have an honest to goodness work session where we sit down and go through each of the possible options, what's legal, what's illegal, before we spend $50,000. Again, anytime you get more information is good, but from reading this contract, it appears they're looking at increasing the impact fee of 50 cents, which can happen.
Commissioner Hefner.
So I agree with you on the deferral on this. A question for you. Have you had an opportunity to speak with the Duncan?
I swapped calls Friday and I have not gotten back with them.
Okay.
Clancy?
That's correct.
Okay, so you haven't had a chance to have a conversation
No.
with them to see if there's something that they can change in their scope of work
Mhm.
to move away from a citywide to more of a zoned
That
impact?
would be helpful.
Because I hear what you're saying, clearly. It just sounds like we can bridge the gap by just taking out citywide and having them do the study, but establishing zones where a potential development falls within that zone. Then we already have the cost, the impact study done for that zone, and we can assess
Correct.
fees accordingly. Am I oversimplifying that, or is that?
I don't think so.
I don't know that we need a workshop, but I'm happy to sponsor one or attend it or do whatever I have to
If
do
I
to
do
kind of move this
I'll
along.
get with Duncan and find out what exactly they're planning on doing and explain to them, here's what we cannot do, and tell them what we can do and what is that, and may end up being a $200,000 study when you start focusing down.
Well, at least we're doing something a study we can actually
That can help.
use.
Exactly.
So,
Let's get the vice mayor.
Mr. Marchetti, on numerous occasions, we've done planned unit developments. And there was a characterization that Mr. Barlow, you made a while ago that we have been doing the traditional $2,500. And I think that tradition has gone away a couple of years ago because we started, for instance, the Curd Road project was approximately $5,500 per lot based on what they wound up having to pay, their off-site improvements and everything else. So now, but that was a negotiated price and a cost. And so, for them to say, no, we're not going to do that, then they're in violation of a contract, are they not? Because, that was something that we agreed to by ordinance, and they agreed to do it as well. Actually, in this particular case, it was mostly their
As long as they voluntarily
agreed.
then they are required to do it.
Correct.
That's the bottom line. Now,
And
if you
that's
say,
what
I
our-
want you to pay $5,000, they can say, based on what? And
Sure.
but I think we have plenty of other reasons to deny approval, notwithstanding.
The other thing
refusal
is,
to pay.
I want to simplify this. You're an attorney, a very good one. That's the reason we hired you. You're a engineer. You're our public works director. Obviously very good. That's the reason we hired you. I'm a retired police officer. When it comes to my knowledge, it's the only thing I've got is what I have learned up here, and it's based on what comes from the planning commission and planning staff. Okay. I don't want to know how to build a watch. I just want to know what time it is. I would prefer not to go through a workshop. I would prefer that the experts that we hire and pay salaries to bring us solutions as opposed to us being the drivers of the solutions. Because I'll be perfectly honest with you, I'll get up here with my novice layman language and probably confuse the whole thing. I'm good at that. I know that. Commissioner Hefner has not been here long enough to figure that out, but he will confuse things also. It just happens. So what I would prefer to happen, bring us solutions, and then we'll say, oh, we like this, and then figure it out. I don't need to be a lawyer. Salute. Is that what you
We're the
said?
saluters. Yeah.
Exactly. Yes, sir. So be said, so be done. Just let us know what needs to be done. I don't want to be driving this wagon. Just tell me what to do.
Let's recognize Commissioner Mullally.
These other cities you were talking about, are they home rule as well?
They are not. I think there's 14, I believe, that Sheila and I and Kenny and Gino were looking at. I will say Duncan did do a study with one that is, and that's Memphis. I don't know when that was done, however.
Okay. It just seems,
I'll talk to Duncan.
if we pursued this, it just seems risky. We're just, it's risking lawsuits. And I was just going to say, could we not save $50,000 and just let Gino tell us what we can and can't do?
Or pay Gino the $50,000. We will.
Commissioner Hefner.
A motion to defer for one meeting.
Got a second on deferral. Any questions, debate on deferral?
So Gino, if you can get with Duncan and
We'll
bring
have
back
something,
the right agreement that's going to keep
within
us out
10
of
days.
court.
By Friday a week, you will have.
All right.
Okay.
Perfect. All right. All in favor of deferral for one meeting, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed to deferral? Hearing none, 5-0 is the vote. Last item is 11-6, resolution declaring City of Mount Juliet Information Technology Department property as surplus to be disposed of at GovDeal auctions.
Motion.
Got a motion, second. All in favor of the resolution as presented, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? By a vote of 5-0, that will be surplus. If there's no objection, we've concluded our business for the evening. I move that we adjourn.
Second.
Second. Hearing no objections on the adjournment, we are adjourned. Thank you, Aaron. We'll see everybody at the Christmas parade.
Thank you. When's Christmas?